A German artist is accused of defaming the Russian state by creating carnival floats featuring satirical depictions of President Vladimir Putin. Jacques Tilly is being put on trial in his absence in Russia and could, in theory, face up to 10 years in jail. But as long as he remains in Germany, he's beyond the reach of the Russian courts.
Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin facing off with Europe caught in between. The U.S. president striking at Christian values. These carnival floats don't just entertain, they take aim at those in power. This year, Dusseldorf's Rose Monday parade unfolded against a serious backdrop. Jacques Tilly, the artist behind these works, has been accused in a Moscow court of defaming President Putin.
Of course we'll keep going. We can't let ourselves be intimidated. That's the whole point of the trial, to scare people, to silence them, to make them tone down their criticism. I can't give in to that. Absolutely not. That would be absurd. Because this isn't just an attack on me, it's an attack on the freedom of all of us.
Rose Monday parades in strongholds like Germany's Rhineland are a tradition that dates back to the 1800s, when Carnival became a way to mock authorities. Jacques Tilly has shaped Germany's Carnival for decades, targeting political leaders across the globe. His floats are built in Dusseldorf's Wagenbau Halle. Tilly and his team work under strict secrecy on the satirical motto floats.
I look at the political debate, but I'm not creating work just for an educated elite. It speaks to everyone. I need simple images and instantly recognizable figures.
Putin has been a reoccurring figure in Tilly's art. In December 2025, Russian authorities accused him of discrediting the Russian army and spreading false information, charges that could mean years in a Russian prison. Since Tilly is in Germany, he'd only face arrest if he travels to country with extradition agreements with Russia. It's the first time that Russia is putting a German citizen on trial in absentia for artwork created in Germany.
I haven't received a letter, a summons, an invitation, not even a phone call from my supposed court-appointed lawyer. Nothing at all. By now, I find the trial almost amusing. Putin is making himself look ridiculous, lashing out at papier-mâché figures with the full force of the courts and of the state.
He'd rather take a swing at the figures himself. The floats are dismantled on the day after the parade. Meanwhile, the Russian case against Jacques Tilly is pending. Since the charges were filed in December, the trial has been postponed several times.
Joining me now is DW correspondent Nicholas Counter, who's following the case from Riga since DW has been banned from operating in Russia. Nicholas, what does it indicate about this case that the hearing had to be postponed several times because key witnesses failed to appear?
Well, I think it's exactly as Tilly said it himself. You know, it seems like this shows that this trial is completely surreal and a bit of a farce itself. I mean, you have a German man who lives in Germany who is being tried by a country in which he doesn't even live for essentially the crime of making jokes. And yes, it is true that this case was postponed due to the apparent lack of witnesses, but we have to also remember that it was postponed once already before this, allegedly because the court-appointed defense lawyer was not even in Moscow. He was on a business trip during the trial. So, and as Tilly mentioned, he has not received an official court summons or any information officially about his trial. So it appears that even the court itself is not taking this trial completely seriously, and perhaps they see this more as a symbolic gesture.
Yeah, you preempt my second question a little, but how realistic is it that Russia seeks an actual conviction here, or is this trial primarily, as you allude to, more of a formal warning to critics beyond its borders?
I think it's definitely more of a warning. I think Moscow wants to send the message that people even outside of Russia could face punishment in the future for going against the official Russian narrative, for making light of Russian institutions like the Orthodox Church, like the government. So We've seen this before, especially within Russia. For example, just last month, there was a Russian comedian who was sentenced to 6 years in prison for a joke he made during a stand-up comedy routine. So it seems that Russia is taking its repressive domestic policies and trying to project them abroad to instill some kind of fear for comedians and satirists outside of the country, for what they say about Russia.
In the minute we have left, looking forward, how will this prolonged legal uncertainty affect Jacques Tilly or anyone else planning on doing satirical work, do you think?
Well, Tilly has said that he's not afraid and that he's not going to stop doing his work and making these caricatures. I think the biggest problem that this could have is for his freedom of movement. He's already been told by the German authorities that he should not travel to any countries that have extradition agreements with the Russian state. And we've seen this before with other comedians. For example, in 2024, a comedian abroad was labeled by the Russian state a foreign agent and allegedly prevented him from entering Indonesia because the government contacted the Russian government contacted Indonesia directly to bar him. So this could have consequences on Tilly's ability to move, but he is not afraid about being silent satirically.
DW correspondent Nicholas Counter in Riga, thanks so much.